Lucas, have you had? I'm not sure if you've noticed this, but I've avoided directly talking to you as of yet. Not really. I'm just thinking about this jokingly, but I think I might do that with guests because I was like, I don't want to start in on a conversation and get funny and get like jokey,
I
and then
get
we're not
that.
even in it yet. So,
Right.
uh,
You got to save that for the screen.
right, got to save it for when the cameras is rolling. Um,
Absolutely.
Lucas, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to. Wait, Aaron Neville. Happy birthday. That's it. That's
That
all I
was pretty
got.
good.
I'm good at karaoke.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
So congratulations. It's hard to stay alive sometimes.
I mean,
You just
it's
conquered
not
another
getting
year.
easier. Yeah.
So true. Like in the beginning of your life, it's really difficult and it gets a little easy and then it gets really difficult again.
Yeah. No, you've got like what, like maybe a little over 10 years where you're in the sweet spot. And then for part of
Yeah.
those, you have just like all of the emotions and hormones. So even
Hmm.
though it is easy, it doesn't seem easy. So you've
Yeah.
got like maybe the time that you stop shitting your pants, which
Yes.
varies for some of us. Like some of us,
Mhm.
can continually shit our pants, which is okay.
Right. No
And
shame. No
yeah,
shame.
and
This isn't
until
cancel culture. So
yeah,
it's
no, of course
okay.
not. Until you're like a preteen, so maybe you get a good 10 years, and then it's just
Yeah.
downhill.
So wait, you're saying you're capping out at preteens?
Yeah. No,
People-
I mean, life is easy, but you don't realize it's easy when you're a preteen,
Yeah.
because of all of the emotions and
All the
like the
hormones
things
and
that
all
you,
that. Yeah.
yeah, and then like the other preteens you have to deal with, like they can be mean and spiteful and hurtful, and like later
Right.
on, hopefully they grow up and they're like, oh, I was not a good person, but
Right.
we're all
Right.
trying to find ourselves at that age. So as easy as everything else is,
Yeah.
like the actual like being yourself is kind of hard, and then you figure yourself out and everything else gets fucking harder. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Right. Oh yeah.
yeah.
Because you're aware. Because
Yeah.
you're aware of self. And man, that is let me tell you, uh, since right around 38, when I started this 38 years old, right? I mean, I tell people it wasn't even COVID. It was like 2001, in 2021. I had a long conversation with my best friend over the phone, a deep conversation. We've gone deep before, but it was like 4-hour conversation. And something clicked in my mind. And I started thinking about things differently and peeling things apart. And I was just thinking, I'm 40 years old. And I was just thinking today at this desk, I was like, man, this is so like everything is, I'm so aware of just certain things like, oh man, the stupid things I've said before, that was dumb. What are the stupid things I'm going to say? What are the stupid things I'm saying now? I'm not recognizing. In 20 years, I'll be like, oh yeah, I was an idiot back then,
Oh, totally.
Oh, and it only gets like that hopefully, if you are able to take a step back and try to crush down your ego and say, okay, let's evaluate, let's take a look. But man, it gets difficult, man.
Right. I mean, totally. But if you can't look back and be like, "Oh, I was wrong for that," or "I've improved since then," or "Man, that was stupid," then the bad thing is you're not doing anything to change and get better. And
Yeah.
I'm sure there are folks that feel that way, like, "No, I'm just perfect and I've never changed," and like that.
Yeah. Ouch.
I envy them for that self-confidence, but the complete lack of self-awareness, I don't envy them for.
Right.
So it's absolutely a positive thing to look back and be like, oh, that was a little rough back then. I could have been better.
As long as you acknowledge it, if you recognize it, if you don't recognize it,
yeah, exactly,
definitely. This has been the most probably like the deepest thought like conversation that I've ever started this podcast off with.
Okay, we're on a good note then.
Yeah. Usually it's like, hey guys, honk honk, woohoo, fart, something ridiculous.
I mean, that's important stuff too. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
This episode is presented by OIT VoIP. Enhance your client's communication abilities with our VoIP solution, featuring integrated billing, on-demand training, and live U.S. support. Collaborate seamlessly with Microsoft Teams integration and put your entire phone system in your pocket with Mobile X. Improve your offerings and increase profitability with reliable service for 1/10 of the average MSP acquisition cost. To learn more, visit oit.co or dial 844-CALL-OIT.
You know what? Let's go ahead and fire up the show. You ready?
Let's do it.
This. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages, everyone out there in internet land. Welcome to 38 at 38. My name is Aaron Bolton, and on this podcast, we discuss ridiculous job situations, just stories that we've previously were stressful when we were going through them, but now just freaking hilarious. So you know how it is. We bring on a guest. We dive into their story. We find out what ridiculous situation they went through, and then they ask me about one of my jobs that I've had. And today we have Mr. Lucas Anderson. Clap it up for Mr. Birthday Boy Lucas Anderson. Woo, everyone. I'm going to have post-production put in a whole bunch of clapping sounds right
Love
now.
it.
You know, but I mean, I don't want to brag, but my producer's pretty awesome. So, you know, he'll make it happen. You guys are going to think that you are in a movie theater. No, they don't clap at movie theaters. A theater, a play afterwards.
No, you know, I think they clap after the Nicole Kidman commercial.
Yes.
That's so you have to clap after that. There's actually
Nicole Kidman.
The ushers come in with
bought
guns.
out.
Yeah, and if you don't clap, they actually take you out back and kill you for not supporting cinema.
Well, not just supporting, not supporting cinema, but not supporting Nicole Kidman.
Yeah,
and that's
too.
really. And at that point, you might as well screw all of Australia. You know,
I mean, it's a slippery slope.
wouldn't. It is. So you hear that, boys and girls? You clap during a movie. Next time you see Oppenheimer. And you clap when they made that bomb, just like all the rest of them at Los Alamos. We're getting political here, Lucas. We're getting political. Yeah. Spoiler alert for facts that have been open public. Yeah, they made it. It happened, and it works, unfortunately. Kind of, and fortunately. I feel like when I say things like that, this is me getting older as well. Like if I say things like, you know, well, unfortunately it worked. Because, yeah, that's a horrible thing. But then I immediately feel the tug of something like, well, you know, if we didn't, then like the war, you know, like what a weird fight.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, it's so difficult now, too. And it's just like, you know, there's a lot of propaganda around that. So you will hear, well, if we didn't do that, even more people would have died. And it's just like, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not a historian. I don't know that.
Right.
I know that I would not want to drop a nuclear bomb on anyone. I would not want to be responsible for building one. I don't think they're good things. And I think I can just leave it at that, you know?
Right.
Maybe there's somebody that's qualified to be like, well, no, it was a net positive or whatever. And
right.
I'm just going to stay on my lane and just be like, not a good thing.
Yeah, not a good. You know what? Throughout history, anytime that there's been a mass number of people dying, it's not been a good thing. I'm sure at one point, you know, when the Aztecs, I believe the Aztecs or Mayans, there's a time period, a ritual where they sacrificed like 80,000 people, and like that's wild. But you know, during then, like the people in that nation or that those people, they were like, well, you know, we got good crops. So, you know, it's like, well, you know, but some of them were witches. So, you know, we gotta, gotta keep the ball rolling in this civilization. All right. We've gotten political. We've got historical. Now we're about to get occupational. We're going to get occupational. All right, Lucas. So thank you so much. Tell me a little about yourself. We've been just chatting it away, but tell me a little bit about yourself, Lucas.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Aaron, thanks for having me on this show. Really excited to be a part of it. Yeah. You know, I've had a very interesting kind of career in a lot of different things. Got my starts, started working right when I was in college at a cafeteria, really, that was on campus at my college, UC Davis. Became a supervisor there, worked in the kitchen. We had around 200 or so people working for us. After college, I managed a restaurant, managed a bar, got into marketing, worked in higher education, worked for the California Lottery up until very recently. And now I'm self-employed. I own a couple businesses.
You sound like my business, my career trajectory.
Oh, awesome! You've gotta learn from so many different places, right?
Yeah.
And you gotta start somewhere. And I think getting a lot of just experience in kind of those lower level jobs, really helps inform you once you're higher up too.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of skills you get, I think, for the workplace, but also as a human being when you work in the service industry and start off kind of in a kitchen or at a bar or at a restaurant or something like that. So really glad to take those experiences with me. But yeah, currently I'm the chief marketing officer, co-owner of Capital Charge. We are a power bank rental service located here in Northern California. I'm in Sacramento, so the capital of California, and we have these stations we put up at bars and restaurants, and we're at festivals for folks to rent a power bank to charge their phone, essentially. And then I've got my own little marketing firm too, Red Leader Consulting, and I work with small businesses to help them advertise on social media, do some event planning, get their ads out, things like that.
Very cool. Producer Phil, go ahead and throw up his information here if you could.
I don't know if it's going to be down or up, but we're going to point to both. Just, click whatever.
Yeah, whatever's there. Not that. Don't click
that. No, not the red button.
Not the red one. So yes, I'm sorry. So okay, very cool. So you've come today. Again, wonderful. I really do like the background. It is, and I can see when you were saying all these things, yes, definitely picking up those little, those key pieces of information that you don't even know. Like, oh man, I've worked restaurants. I've worked, in the back, and I've worked in the front. And, there's certain things that I learned just with a large table, things to say and kind of make things better, and, conflict resolution things that I've learned well before I do it professionally, teach people conflict resolution professionally, and those things have helped me so much in my later years. So you've come with a ridiculous job story, right?
Absolutely.
So let's hear that ridiculous job story. I'm excited.
Yeah, I was thinking about kind of which one I was going to do. There are so many different jobs that I've had and different levels, from being kind of on the bottom to, the top. And is it about firing someone, or is it about someone that's gotten fired? Is it about a bad boss? There's so many different ways that I could have taken it, but I think the one that I am going to share, this ridiculous experience. We were talking a little bit before the show started about just poop being funny, and
right.
And I've got a great poop story.
That's what we're here for.
Exactly. It wasn't great in the moment, but it is pretty hilarious now.
Previously stressful,
yes,
currently hilarious.
Absolutely.
That's the projection.
So let me give a little backstory. This was kind of right after college. I had been a manager at a local restaurant chain. I had stopped working there. It just wasn't really for me. I realized that I wanted to get out of the industry, but was also kind of looking for employment. And I didn't end up getting out of the industry. I ended up actually taking a job as a bar back at a local bar that I would later become the manager and beer buyer for. It ended up expanding into multiple locations. So I ended up being there for quite some time, like almost 4 years. But this is really early on in that job. And, it was a little bit of a rough time in my life. I had just kind of gone through a breakup. The girl that I was seeing ended up starting to date one of the bartenders at that bar too. And it was just like, okay, maybe this isn't for me. Like of all the places to work at, maybe this isn't what I want to see. So, but anyway, we all need to be employed. We all need to make money, because being alive is not cheap.
Opinion.
So anyway, I'm working a shift. It's came in around 4 p.m. So I think the shift was probably about 4 to midnight or so. Actually, no, I take that back. We had a nighttime bar back come in. So this was really actually only about 4 to 8 p.m. And I'm giving a little background story because it will come back later on. But before going to work, I stopped by Del Taco, which for those that aren't from California, it is sort of a Taco Bell competitor. We used to have one right in town. And, it wasn't making a lot of money. So it was a very cheap and affordable thing. And this was back when fast food was still kind of affordable. Like you could get three kind of shitty tacos for about $1, $1.50. Now probably one of those costs $1, $1.50. But like back then, you could have a full meal for less than $5. But
before Subway didn't do the $5 foot long thing. They didn't come up with it. There was $5 meals well before.
Oh, absolutely. And they weren't even marketed like that. It was just things used to just be cheap.
Yeah, it's regular.
Yeah, exactly. But I got these, just shitty beef tacos, ground beef, like you go to a real Mexican spot, you wouldn't ask for a beef taco, it'd be carne asada, right? But these are, the ground beef tacos. Had those. Anyway, went to work. And I get there, clock in, and immediately, it's maybe not going to be a good shift. The bartender who's dating the girl that I just broke up with, he's there. It's a new job.
It's already maybe not going to be a good shift.
Yeah. No, and the manager at the time, who I ended up co-managing with later on, he comes up and he's just like, "Hey, I've got a bad job for you right now." And in my mind, this was a craft beer centered job. And so in my mind, we just got a lot of kegs in. And I was going to spend the next couple hours just moving around kegs. It was going to be painful on my back. It was going to be a lot of like manual labor or whatever. But like, whatever. I would just do my thing, have a couple hours of solitude and make that all nice and shiny. So he's like, "Hey, get a rag." I'm like, "Okay." He's like, "You're going to want to cover your face." And I was just like, wait, what? He's like, maybe like here. And he grabs a rubber band. And we don't go to the keg room, our walk-in fridge. We don't go to that. He walks me over to the men's restroom. Okay. And as a bar back, it was my job to clean the restrooms. And, there'd be some caked on pee on the urinal and stuff like that. You'd have to get out a little spray bottle, wipe down all the surfaces. Replace toilet paper, things like that. Nothing too crazy.
Which is exactly what you want. The guy who's grabbing all the bottles and
exactly.
Just stocking the cooler, just with hands.
Here you go. And then now I gotta go clean some urine. No, there's a lot of hand washing there. There's a lot of hand washing.
Right.
Also, side note, it was funny how we had to teach people how to wash their hands during COVID. Because it's just like anybody that's ever worked in a restaurant or bar has been like, yeah, no, you do like the ABCs or happy birthday. Like you go to like, you go down like, like past your hand and you get your wrists and stuff like that. So it's just like that. I don't know. Do adults just not learn how to wash their hands? But
I don't know what. Like we could do a whole podcast just on that year, okay?
Yeah.
A whole podcast series just on that year.
No doubt. But anyway, he says, grab a towel, here's a rubber band, maybe put it over your face, and opens up the bathroom door. And there is it would not be over the top to say that there was a small lake of diarrhea splattered all over the floor of the restroom. And not just on the floor, but on the wall, on the back of the toilet, on the toilet. Like a very small amount in the toilet.
Where was the body? Because I imagine this person is dead. It's like...
So later on in the evening, after it was all cleaned up, and I'll explain the cleaning process, we did look at some security cameras, and essentially this older guy came in, didn't even order a beer, walked into the restroom, popped out a couple minutes later, and left. I'm assuming out of embarrassment because he shit his whole body out all over this bathroom. that I then had to clean up.
Right.
Again, a small lake and very, very small amount of it actually made it uh, into the toilet. Like, it certainly didn't make it into the guy's pants. Like, he dropped trowel and like immediately just like
Oh
all
man,
over
and missed
everything
it
and
all.
and completely just missed the inside of the toilet. Maybe he didn't miss the inside of the toilet. Maybe he had a courtesy flush and was just like, they'll get the rest.
Well, I've done my part.
Wow, thanks, sir. Thank you so much. I couldn't have done that myself.
That's the least he could have done. I mean, was there
But
not paper towels in there?
you know what? Like, absolutely. There, no paper towels. This is, kind of,
Yeah.
the hand dryer kind of situation.
Yeah,
But
and
still,
I've tried to clean up a bunch of diarrhea with a hand dryer, and that just does not work.
Yeah, I mean, we did have toilet paper, but it wasn't the good stuff. It was kind of on the
Right.
thinner side, so it
Right,
would have
right.
been difficult. But certainly there could have been an effort made. Like,
Right.
hey, I cleaned it up as best as I could. The floor is caked in shit, but it's
Yeah.
not wet anymore. And this
Yeah.
guy was like, no, I couldn't possibly do that.
Or now, all right. Now I got to ask, how many years ago was this? Did
This was like 10 years ago.
Okay, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. I think 10 years ago, they still would have been able to get to their car and pull out their cell phone, Google the bar's phone number, and be like, "Hey, man, I'm sorry. Just be careful when you walk in. You're gonna slip." I can't remember if it left the lights on.
No, I totally get the embarrassment of saying like, hey man, I had an out of body experience
Right.
in your bathroom. I'm so sorry. But guy just walked out. I don't think he said a word to anybody. Wouldn't even know if he ever came back to the bar or not. It was like a generic middle-aged, white guy. Just a dude. That, if you walked into a bar, you wouldn't think like this guy is gonna empty his bowels all over the bathroom.
Right. No.
And miss the toilet.
Yeah. Anything on the inside is now coming on the outside.
Yeah. I mean, crazy. It's like the dude must have had like some kind of colon cleanse tea, and then he was just like, before I come here, it's almost like the guy had a vendetta, honestly. I mean, I just like
he had a plan.
He's like, fuck this bar. I'm not going to think about the employees that work there. Just fuck this bar.
Just the bar. Not even the bar owner. Actually, the building. Before the bar is the business that was in that building before the bar. Just
it used to be a Blockbuster Video. So maybe the guy was just like, this is for all those goddamn late fees.
These late fees.
I didn't return my double VHS of Titanic, and you guys charged me $4.97, which adjusted for inflation is about $3,000 now.
I can't do this. I can't do this anymore. Yeah.
Wow. But I went in and I had a task ahead of me, and we certainly had a lot of cleaning supplies. Their towels, sprays, mop, bucket, things like that. But it was really
let me take these notes. Let me take notes on this.
Gloves, of course.
Bucket.
Yeah, gloves, of course. But the thing was, essentially, was that the face covering was so I didn't have to smell it, because it was awful. It smelled terrible. As terrible as it looked, it smelled even worse. So here I have, essentially, I go in and we don't have any actual face masks. So again, this is way before COVID. So it's not normal.
No reason to have a face mask.
Exactly.
Who are you, Michael Jackson in the late 90s?
yeah, right. Where we weren't a hospital or anything. So I get just a regular cleaning towel, put it over, and then rubber band it over. So I've got just like a little towel halfway down my face. Not
could be considered cultural appropriation.
I'm not. I mean, it definitely. I'm not sure what somebody would have thought if they had seen me. Aside from like, I do not envy him. But so went in and just kind of tackled, thought about what I was going to do and how I was going to clean it, and kind of there were areas where I could mop it and then have this dirty, shitty water and then pour that out in our like draining sink and then really clean out the sink. But the most fucked up part of it was that in all of this small lake of diarrhea, it's like Lake Titicaca without the titty part, essentially just Lake Caca.
Lake
and
Caca.
yeah. There are some chunks in there as well. And the chunks look exactly like that Del Taco ground beef that I had just about an hour before. So the best thing that I can think of is to get some paper towels and kind of scoop it up and then flush.
Right.
But let me tell you, this combination of liquid and solid getting picked up in your hand, there's just something about it. You feel the texture of this weird poop that's somebody else's that you're cleaning up. And at that point, as I'm picking this up and going to throw it away in the toilet, I vomit a little bit.
Right. I was waiting for that.
And the vomit that comes out is, again, this Del Taco ground beef that doesn't look much different than the poop that I'm picking up, except it smells better. So
well, where does yours begin in his head?
Right. Well, except it smells better. And by the second time that I throw up, I now have enough throw up stuck in my nose that it essentially just smells like really acidic Del Taco beef. And I'm like, okay, I can work with this. Now I don't smell this person's insides that have maybe been rotting for the last decade, as he was shedding his skin to become the new living being that came out of that cocoon of a bathroom. So long story short, at that point, it was really just cleaning. It was picking up the handfuls of this semi-solid diarrhea lake, throwing it into the toilet until there was enough of it that I could then mop up. Throwing up kind of in between into that same toilet, which again, where the poop started and the Del Taco ended, no idea. Anyway, spent about probably a good 45 minutes cleaning that up. And again, brand new. The bartender that was working at the time was, again, the guy that was dating my ex-girlfriend. So I know this guy was already just like, oh man, I feel bad for this guy. But then, then I come in and I have to clean this shit. So I look like the most sorry person in the world having to do all this stuff.
He's got his arm around your ex-girl, like by the waist, all low. And you're like,
yeah. I'm just like, guess what I cleaned up in there. Got it all mopped up, cleaned out the water and stuff like that. And then just had to, after that, go back and wash my hands really well, make sure I was all clean, and then get back to work. I worked for about 4 hours that day. It wasn't a super busy day. It was like a Tuesday, Wednesday afternoon. Really should have been the most mild shift. Like honestly, when I walked in, when I walked in and they were just like, oh, we've got some tough work for you. It was like, okay, cool. There's 4 people in the bar. I'm sure this is going to be so tough. God, take that back. I will never once question.
They knew before you got there?
Oh, because I was the bar back, like the lowest on the totem pole. They just had an out of order sign and they waited till I could come and clean it.
Okay, way to bury the headline, dude.
Yeah, I guess I should have added that first, but being the lowest person on the totem pole, I was the one that was supposed to clean it. So it wasn't like I started work and then I walked in the bathroom and was like, oh my God, no, they waited. They waited until, who knows? I don't know how long it was festering in there. It was still pretty wet. So I think it had still been on the newer side. But yeah, absolutely. It was until I came in and was ready to do the grunt work, the cleaning work, that they were like, have we got some work for you?
You know what it was? It was that you started working there and your ex-girlfriend was like, you know, he's such a sweet guy. No, such a nice guy. And then like the boyfriend was like, what does that even mean? Blah, 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 blah. And then she was like, well, he was just great or whatever, just to stick it to him. And then he gets into work. He goes, sees this huge pile, and he's like, I saw the schedule. Let's wait for Lucas. Okay.
Yeah. I would hope that wasn't what happened. But I mean, definitely part of me was like, hey, he was here first. Why didn't he clean it? But seniority again. He was a bartender. I was a bar back. It was the job to do. But I will say that was probably, and I don't know. I haven't worked for that company in like 7 years now. There could have been grosser things that have occurred, but in my 3.5 years there is nothing more gross that ever happened.
That is, hey, that's pretty. That's up there. That is up. Look, Phil is probably like, man, this is the least Aaron has talked, because I'm just in like awe, like, oh my goodness, this is the most disgusting story we've had.
I know.
Not you. Yeah, you know it because you're hitting those points. You're like, I know how bad this is gonna be. I gotta do it.
Yeah. No, it's funny. I was thinking about what I was gonna talk about, and there's so many things that we could have done. I mean, like in that job, there are so many other ways to take it. Like there are customers that had tried to fight me. Folks that come in that were like, I work for the FBI. You need to give me a free beer, and like things like that. Or I had a guy come in when I was a manager at a restaurant, and he got really mad because we wouldn't give him an extra plate for his chips. And it was like company policy at the time. It was like a Tex-Mex place, and it was just like, we don't give an extra plate just for the chips, because then people will load up and like make their own nachos or whatever. But if they request, we'll be nice. But anyway, this guy he came in with his 2 girlfriends, which were like twins that were like teenagers, and he was an adult man. Normal things. So when he finally complained, had to leave his Yelp review about how he and his 2 girlfriends were so upset. Things like so, and then I thought about like other stories to tell. Like when I worked at a university, I was in a department where a new manager came in, and she forced all of the old employees out. Until she eventually got fired for like breaking several labor rules and everything like that. And it was just like, maybe if you hadn't forced all the people out and just been okay at your job, like, there's a lot of ways to take it, but between just dealing with people that are bad people, dealing with a bad boss, I think those are universal stories, but cleaning up a lake of poop. Not so universal.
No, you nailed it. You nailed it. That was like I said, I was quiet because I was like, wow, I don't need to contribute anything to this. People, if they're still watching, they're getting it. They got it. That's wonderful. Dude, thank you. Thank you for sharing a story. I love stories. I really love stories. I love hearing the stories of people going through crappy times, but and then on this end being able to laugh about that. That's a success. I definitely see that as a success. So we're going to take a quick break for all the sponsors. First of all, got a shout out to Wayne Enterprises. If you need your tech, go to Wayne Enterprises. Superman. I'm Batman, right? You get
Batman.
it.
Yeah.
I'm funny. All right. Let's go ahead and take a break now.
Here at the MSP Media Network, we have a greater responsibility to recognize women not just for their accomplishments, sales, productivity, and products, but for their direct impact on the MSP channel. Our newest show, Channel Impact Awards, will spotlight the mentorship, charitable works, and behind the scenes, above and beyond behavior that often goes unrecognized. Our first season of Channel Impact Awards will award women of the channel for their incredible contributions. We hope you'll join us in our commitment to highlighting the exceptional women of the MSP channel. Please scan the QR code on your screen now to nominate a woman you know for the Channel Impact Award. You have 2 weeks to nominate someone you know. Stay tuned on the MSP Media Network for more information on the Channel Impact Awards, including our esteemed panel of judges and the first set of award-worthy nominees.
And we're back. Hey, welcome back, all you wonderful peeps out there in computer land. All right, so this is the time of the podcast. I get nervous and excited at the same time because Lucas is going to choose one of the quotes that was sent to him, and each quote has something to do with a story of one of the jobs that I've had, and I don't know which one he's going to pick. So go ahead and lay it on me so I might start thinking about this.
Okay, so the one that I actually like the most of the ones that you offered me was they're here because they like coffee, so sell them coffee. Because as a marketer, that is that's the whole part of the job is
right.
Do the thing, sell the thing that you're supposed to do. Don't overcomplicate things, but like follow through on it and make the sale.
Right, dude. Thank you for picking this. This was such an interesting job. I wasn't there for long. But so right after, right before the housing crisis, 2008, I had my buddy and I, we got together, we started up a little internet like marketing advertising company, had an app, all that. Okay. So we got out of that because it did wonderful. No, it did. We had to just say, all right, we tried it. This was great. We were young. I think we were 24 years old, and we're like, all right. And at that point, I'd always, I'd done sales up into that point. And I thought, okay, not a worry. I can go. I'm young, 24, 25, just got married. And I'm going to go get a job. In the housing market, like crashes, and I can't get a job anywhere. Like I'm like, my mind is blown with how difficult it was for me to get a job, anything. And I remember, I've looked at different places for different sales positions, and I mean, I had the numbers to back it, just nothing, not a lot available. So. I think everyone does this when they start looking for a job. They have their expectations here, and they're like, they kind of throw some stuff out there, and they're like, okay, then they bring it down, and then sometimes they have to keep bringing it down, and I was like, all right, well, I hadn't worked at a mall, nothing. I'm not, not above it at all, but I hadn't worked in the mall since I was like in high school, right after high school. So I was like, you know what? Let me go. I love that fun, all the people around, and man, I couldn't get a job in like the mall at Aeropostale. I remember going to work, going through 3 interviews at Aeropostale. Sorry, Aeropostale.
Wow.
As everyone, Aeropostale, as they told me. 3 interviews. And,
rigorous.
And it was because they were confused. I realize this now because I had a resume. And I was like, I'm just looking for, and they're confused, like, why can't you get a job? And I'm like, you tell me. I'm trying, and the guy interviewing me, he's just a few years younger than me, I'm guessing. But he was like, what? Like, he was like, wow, you have more experience than I do. And I was like, that's cool, man. I just want to work the register. I just need to get a paycheck. I'm, just got married and something coming in. And I remember I couldn't even get a job at Aeropostale. That was so annoying. But they had me meet with like the regional manager. I just wanted just to fold some shirts. That was my dream. But so anyways, it was rough. And I was at Starbucks near my home, and I had a friend working there, and she was like, hey, why don't you just work here? All the people. As a matter of fact, the company that I had with my buddy, all of our meetings were at that Starbucks. Everyone at the Starbucks knew me. I just remembered that. Yeah, they all knew me. So
you had an in.
I had an in, you'd think, right? So I wasn't late. It's funny. I wasn't late for my interview with Bryce, the manager. I wasn't late for my interview, but he acted as if I was late because I locked my keys in my car and I called him and said, "Hey, I just want to let you know this has happened, just in case I might be, but I don't think I would be." He was like, "Oh, okay." And then I even got there like 5 minutes early, and he was like, "Well," like he kind of held that. He told me later on that he held that against me. I was like, "But I was here, you know." But that's just the kind of guy, you know, Bryce was, I guess. So I got a job working at Starbucks, and that was so much fun. There's certain things that that I still think of today from that Starbucks so many years ago. For instance, like everything works in like a 3 month like there's a universal law that things work out in like 3 months. That's why 12-step programs, 1 step a week, 12 weeks, 3 months, you know. People track things quarterly, right? 3 months, you know. There's a P90X, you know, 90 days, 3 months.
Right.
There's this universality to it. And I realized, and I don't know where I had heard that. I heard that I might have been in Starbucks training. They might have said, "Don't worry, in 3 months you'll understand this. It'll be like nothing." And my goodness, I remember in 3 months I was like, bah, 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 just whipping all the drinks around, being goofy and being so that was fun. But I was there for about a year. So the quote is, you know, well, you're in here, or they're here, so sell them coffee, right? Uh, so my coffee sales, I didn't even know they were tracking bags of coffee to sell.
Mm.
Mine were just really high, and to the point where it's like noticeably high. And Bryce pulled me aside and he was like, "Aaron, you're selling so much. What are you doing? What are you doing?" I was like, "Man, I'm just offering them some coffee because they're here." In my mind, sales is just like, yeah, I'm already there. I might as well just keep, you know, offering them stuff.
Right.
And he was like, "So what do you do?" I said, I just offer. I was like, "Hey, you want to buy a bag of coffee?" That's it. And
So the
he's like,
upsell.
yeah, that was it. And it would just seem normal to me. I was like, "Yeah, you want
Yeah.
to buy a bag of coffee? You're paying $5 for this, and that's $10, and it's a bag, you know." And I would do that some, you know, and oh yeah, of course, sure. And he said, and this is the manager of the store, and he goes, and who do you ask? I was like, everyone, like everyone. I ask everyone that, and he's like, "Can you present that at a team meeting?" I was like, "Are you okay? All right." So I did a sales training to the staff on selling coffee that went just like this. "All right, so this is really easy. All you have to do is the only thing I do is I tell them, I ask them if they want to buy a bag of coffee. That's it. Well, who do you ask?" Oh my goodness! Like I was like, I'm not gonna prepare for anything. This is ridiculous. But it turned into like a 30-minute ordeal where I was like, okay, let's role play this, because I had some sales training in the past, so just became a big thing. That was the first step. That was my first misstep, because then there was a guy who was vying for the assistant manager position, and he was a jerk. He was just a mean guy, and he didn't like that good old Aaron Bolton's up in here slinging them beans.
Oh
So
no.
I've been bullied when I was in high school, and when I was in middle school, I was bullied. I'd never been bullied at work, and I was being bullied at work, and I think he was like, I was 25. He had to have been 21, 22, you know, and that's only a few years. But you guys remember back then that
It seems
those
like a
years
lot
were a
more.
lot.
Yeah.
I mean, he was, yeah, I was married, you know, I had, you know, he was, you know, he was single, finishing up, you know, college and stuff. And he would try to punk me like on his, like, not anything, any little thing. I mentioned something about the detergent my wife buys for like, laundry, and it was like something like Gain or something. It was something, and he was like, "What?" And he was like, "Gain." He goes, "Okay, that's disgusting." I'm like, "Whoa, what are you using?"
It's
He's like,
detergent.
I used Tide. And like just like every little thing he would, and I would, and any little thing, he would just talk crap. We had the headsets, right? That we can talk to everyone, or we can talk directly to one person or everyone, right? And he would sit there and make fun of me while I was working with him to everyone else and exclude me. Just sit here and just talk crap. And
Oh no.
dude, I was just nice to him. That's it. I was like, all right, whatever. I'm not gonna let. I'm like, I need this job, and I don't want to murder you, guy. So that was, man, that's a stress. So anyways, I was there for a while, and I was like, you know what, I'll go out for this assistant manager position too. And I was doing really well. I'd pick up any shift because I just needed the money,
Right.
So it was a 24-hour Starbucks, so I picked up, like, I got in trouble for overtime. I was like, well, you asked me to work that. Sorry.
Can't do that.
Yeah, sorry. Well, you asked me to work this. Sorry. So, but I would work the overnight shift. Oh, I mean, I'm talking about coming in at 11, leave at 6, like 11 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Man. So they would go out. So I was doing a lot, and I was going out wanted to be an assistant manager, and the guys would go out to the Chili's next door, the assistant manager, the lead, the key supervisor or whatever, they'd go out, the closers, to the Chili's, and I didn't drink. I also didn't want the time I wanted to get back to my wife. I was like, they're going to, and as a matter of fact, man, it wasn't until like how weird is this? It wasn't until 2018 that I actually went to like happy hour. Like I'd never, so it was just something I never did,
Yeah.
But that's when I realized, wow, even in Starbucks, like that's where the decisions are made. And I heard that one of the nights they went out there and they were drunk, plastered, and they were like, okay, so the brides were like, well, who should get it? And he's like, oh, just give it to him. And he was sitting right there, the other guy that was making fun of me. And so it was one of those things. So that was, but of course that I let that go. I let that go many years ago. I forgave him. Some fun things, man. Oh, I wrote down, I made a note here. I'm glad you chose this one, man. I'm glad you chose this one, because just like your poop story, I have a mini poop story from Starbucks where,
I mean, that coffee, how could you not?
Right. Well, here's the thing. If that was only the reason, and this definitely not as bad as yours. But the frequency was like every other night. Every other night, the same. And we finally tracked. I don't know if no one even thought about it or what, but we finally picked up that it was this deputy, the sheriff's deputy, and she was so sweet, so nice. Such a great, just nice, young person around my age too, and she would go in there and just explode the whole bowl, the seat, just like, and then adios. And she would come back and do it. Like, we caught on that it's like, this is you. And I don't know if it was maybe IBS or anything, but we let it alone because we were 24 hours and we'd like to have cops who are friends. But that was, so we had to go clean that explosiveness up a lot. But what I really liked about it was, I'd been doing, man, like corporate job, like legit serious job since before I graduated high school. I was just serious job. And this was like a fun job. While I was looking for something else, this is like a fun job that I wasn't thinking about, building a career upon, and so I got to express myself in fun ways and I just got away with it. I had so much fun on the drive-thru. The drive-thru intercom was so much fun for me, especially in the evening. There were people that would like be our regulars. So they would sit down in the patio, and from the patio where they were, they could hear the speaker. And I made sure that I was louder when I was because they would sit there and laugh and they would hear the things I would say. And one of the things I would say I'd be, hello, thank you for stopping by Mount Carmel Starbucks. Hola, por continuar en español, oprima dos. And I would wait, and they're like, English. And I'm like, hola, bienvenido a Starbucks. And I just go in Spanish, and they're like, English. I'm like, no, I'm sorry. Was there a problem? Then I'd come on. One thing I loved doing was, it was always the same. Always the same was, I would, they would come up and I would say, hey, we're having a promotion going on right now. If you play this trivia, if you win this trivia or get this trivia question right, then your drink is free. Whatever size, large, venti, whatever, we got you. And they were like, and this was just, and I would comp the drink like under my name, just so I could experience this and have fun with it. And they're like, yeah, okay, yeah, what's the trivia? And it would be, I would ask movie or music, and no matter what they picked, it was the same question, which was the Disney movie The Lion King, or what was, or sing the song, or sing the opening bars from the opening measure, or the opening song from The Lion King, right? Or sing the opening song for The Lion King. And they would be quiet for a second, and I said, I'll give you a clue. And then I say, listen up. And then I would just scream, na cigüeña, baba bisi baba. And then like they would, we get to see them on the video camera. They'd freak out and everything. They'd start laughing. And then they'd start laughing. And I'd be quiet for like a little bit. And right when they were about to say something again, I'd go, na cigüeña, baba bisi baba. I would just keep going on with that. So I had to give them a drink free at that point, because, I'm putting them through that. That's fun. And there was some fun, goofy fun times overnight. Overnight was just clean up and just watch movies and just be goofy. That's it, man. It was a fun little break that I think I needed in my early 20s. Looking back, I could have done without it. But sure. I could see that it was helpful. It was definitely some helpful time to kind of release and relax a little bit. So although it was stressful, man, not making bank. Bank. Yeah.
There is something to be said about jobs like that, where you don't make a lot and you deal with a lot of things, and it can be really difficult, but at the same time, like, where you can kind of, be a little physical and also have some camaraderie and not take things as seriously too, is also really nice. And definitely Absolutely. The folks that do those jobs need to be paid more. They need to be able to like live their lives and not worry about things, because they're important jobs. But you meet a lot of really good people. I have some lifelong friends out of those kind of roles that I had, which is awesome.
Right. Absolutely. Well, Lucas, thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for listening. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here on your birthday.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I think that's awesome that you held on to your birthday. Your birthday was like last week, and you're like, no, not yet. And you let it for today. So
yeah, I just kept it. I was like, all right, 26, that's Tuesday. We'll make it happen then.
We'll make it happen. I'll pencil it in. So when we wrap up with reflections, reflection of, all right, so was there something that you took from your experience, from your story? Was there something you took from it that you carried on throughout the rest of your career, something that you look back, or something that you learned from that experience?
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe not specifically from that, but it's important to just be humble, no matter how high or how low you are in the job. No matter what, the person that you're working with, even if they're above you, might have been somebody that had to clean shit at some points. Or the vice versa. Even when you're having a bad day and things could get worse, and you might have to clean some shit on top of it. So it's not something that you have to really experience too often. One of those things that I actually do have another story I was thinking about when I was at the restaurant. One time I was mopping or doing a plunger, and somebody's poop backsplashed onto my face. So 2 stories really. Great times. But anyway, it makes you humble. And
Yeah.
I'm glad I don't have to ever deal with that again, unless I decide to have children, or or if my dog or my cat have a mess. But I can definitely say that I can have empathy for people that still have to deal with that.
Absolutely. And everyone check out our shop. We got the hats and the t-shirts. Poop makes you humble. That's poop makes you humble. It's live.
This poop
It's live right
emoji.
now.
Poop emoji. #humble.
I'm telling you. Oh, I'm writing that down.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
Probably and I'll say from that job, I think I often look back at that job of those fun times where I was able to let go, and it helps me to be, I guess, more appreciative when I am in those more obviously professional settings, more career focused settings, and there's that levity, or there's that time where you can not just joke around, but you not push the boundaries, but you can get a little more funny or a little goofy, or those times are I always think about that and link back to Starbucks, and appreciating that. I really do appreciate that time. So
Absolutely.
Man, this has been a good conversation. I don't say that like surprising, like, man, I didn't think
this fucking guy.
This guy with the poop. No, this has been a really great conversation. Like, man, I appreciate it, Lucas. I really do. I haven't done it all the whole time. I've been waiting to do Mr. Anderson. Like you've gotten that, I'm sure.
Oh, I mean, between Mr. Anderson or Luke, I am your father. Yeah. I've got all the good quotes with my name.
Nice. Oh no, my last name is Bolton. So I've been
Michael Bolton.
Since I was in second grade. I remember Miss Strauss, our principal, walked up to me. She saw me in the hallway, and she was like, Aaron Bolton, like Michael Bolton, like when a man loves a woman. And I was like, and I remember in second grade, I was like, I don't know what that is, and I don't think you should be talking to me about that. Yeah. So ever since then, yep, Michael Bolton, good old Michael Bolton. Awesome.
Do you ever get the Office Space Michael Bolton?
Oh
too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Look, I celebrate his entire catalog. So
good.
Lucas, thank you guys so much. Thank you all so very much for tuning in, for watching. Appreciate y'all, and see y'all later. Peace.